John, it's Keighley Cougars on Sunday. As we saw in the pre-season fixture, it could potentially be another fiery and feisty occasion.
Well, it's a local derby, you know, and there is some feeling between Keighley and Betfred, and that's well documented. But any local derby brings with it a higher intensity, and I think that's what we'll get this coming Sunday.
I mean, what sort of image is it going to be on Sunday at Cougar Park to see it packed to the rafters with, you know, a huge travelling contingent from Bradford?
Well, yeah, I mean, if we equal the crowd that went to York, and that's packed into the Cougar Park. I mean, again, it's a ground that the fans are really on top of the players, so it'll make for a really good atmosphere, and I think that will create a high-intensity game.
It certainly shows League One in good light.
It does, yes, it does very much so. You know, there's been lots of success stories even in the season so far, this very brief season so far. You know, York can feel really pleased with what they've done. There's been some big signings within the competition, and I think it really bodes well for this season and for the future.
The last game against London Scholars was postponed. How much of a disruption was that to your preparations?
Well, we'd have preferred to have played it, obviously, because we feel we're in a good place. But the fact is, it was difficult to get on a playing field and train. So obviously preparations would have been limited, but that would have been the same for both teams. But obviously the first priority is player and spectator safety, and I think the correct decision was made. And I'm certain it won't cause a fixture backlog, because there will be, I'm certain, as the season goes along, sort of spare weekends where we can put that game in.
What sort of a side are we going to be looking at on Sunday?
Well, the best one we can turn out. I mean, we've had a watchword that we're going to respect the opposition, respect the competition, because this is where we're at, and we're happy to do that. And we've looked at the Keighley Cougars. We've looked at ourselves, obviously, and our recent performances, and we'll turn out a very, very strong 19-man squad, because, you know, Vila Halafi'i and Liam Johnson are both fit and able and available once again. So it makes for a bit of head-scratching on my part.
I mean, this is where you really earn your money now, John, isn't it? Selecting the right 19 to go out there.
Well, it is, yeah, but we've got to realise as well that there's a reserve game as well coming up. There's also the Hunslet Cup game, Hunslet League game, and then the Oldham games, 5 games after that. So we've got to make sure that we produce good performances on a consistent basis, and if that means a slight rotation of the squad, so be it. But what we'll do, we'll just approach it on a game-by-game basis. And obviously for the coming game against Keighley, it'll be a very strong team.
Can we expect Dane Chisholm to have an extended role on Sunday?
Well, he'll certainly be in the 19, and in all likelihood he'll be in the 17. It's still up for debate. We talk with the medical staff. We monitor his knee to see if it's a little sore from training, or if it's a little sore from the game previously. But at the minute it's screwing up very well indeed, and is bang on course for everything we hoped. But I've also got to look not just at the Keighley fixture or the Hunslet fixture. I have to look at the bigger picture of the season as a whole. And we need Dane Chisholm out on the field of play more often than not. And if it means we gradually reintroduce into an 80-minute game, that's how it will be.
How important is it to control that emotion and those emotive aspects of playing in a big local city derby?
Well, we've had a great practice, haven't we? I mean, the fact is that we've only to cast our minds back a month to go into York, which again was it was a cup final atmosphere. It was a very high standard of game against very high quality opposition. So we've just got to cast our minds back to that for our muscle memory and our thought processes. And I think that will stand us in good stead for this coming week, because it's going to be tough, because they're a good team and they're on their own ground.
I mean, one thing that you can say, John, is we're working with Keighley, that he's going to have his side really fired up for this one.
Oh yeah, and obviously we worked for a number of years together, so he knows exactly what my beliefs are, philosophies are, but I know his as well, so that might cancel itself out and we'll leave it down to the players.